Thanks for staying with us. It is still in the game on New Central TV. I'm Udoka Njoko. Let's talk football. The MK Abiola Sports Arena in Abeokuta has been confirmed as the adopted home ground for Remo Stars and Kwara United in their upcoming CAF competitions. With renovations ongoing at the Ikene Base, MPFL champions Remo Stars will host Comoros US Zilimaju in the Champions League first leg on the 21st of September before they return tie on the 26th of September, both in Abeokuta. Interestingly, Zilimaju have also chosen the same venue for their home fixture. Federation Cup winners Kwara United, meanwhile, will play their CAF Confederation Cup return leg against Ghana's Asante Kotoko on the 28th of September at the same stadium after their opening away clash in Kumasi, Ghana. All right, let's move straight to that big one that will be going down later today. Of course, it kicks off today, talking about the 2025-2026 UEFA Champions League season, as the league stage of the Champions League gets underway on Tuesday with 6 matches taking place across Europe. Some of the top games include Arsenal visiting Athletic Bilbao, Juventus hosting Borussia Dortmund, Tottenham Hotspur facing Villarreal, and the 15-time champion Real Madrid beginning its campaign against Marseille. The first match week continues on Wednesday and Thursday, the only 3-day week on this year's Champions League calendar, with no other UEFA tournaments in action. This season promises to be very exciting because we saw super moves during the summer transfer window. Joshua, what is your I mean, I don't know what club you support. Hopefully you don't get to mention Manchester United because their fans cannot relate at the moment. But looking forward to the Champions League. It kicks off today. New format. This is the second season we are seeing this new format. It played out last season because at the early stages you saw head-to-head matches between big teams. Some fans did complain that they could have waited until the latter stage of the tournament for us to see these big matchups. But hey, it is football. It is a money-spinning tournament, and we did enjoy it last season. But are we expecting ×2, ×20, or something less this season?
Well, I'm not a Man U fan. Let's start from there. Okay, so Champions League is always an interesting one. No matter the formats, no matter what structure they want to use, football is a big language. It communicates a very, very good value. So I believe it will still accommodate people and people will still enjoy it. Today has amazing matches, and we've seen big money splash with the likes of Liverpool in the Premier League. We've seen Real Madrid moves, and we've seen backup minimization. Then if you go across down to Syria, you see Juventus, Inter Milan having structures with coaches. We've seen some player moving, Atlanta moves, AC Milan moves. If you leave that, go to Germany, we'll see various actions from them. And looking for critically from both of them, I believe we'll experience a very, very, very good performance. They released their squad 2 weeks ago, and I'm really, really pumped up for this new strategy, this new league format of a thing and structure. It just gives us more games, and we get to experience different leagues across Europe and outside, and I'm looking forward to it. It's a really, really interesting match. And if you want to ask me about the match I'm looking forward to today, I want to see that Real Madrid, Marseille. I really need to see what it looks like to have young coaches like Seb Alston and De Zerbi together. It's massive.
All right, massive clashes that we're looking forward to later today in the UEFA Champions League. We also have Seb Alston, who joins us all the way from the UK. Seb, this is a record-breaking time where we're seeing 9 English sides playing European football. There's Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, and Newcastle, and then Tottenham in the UEFA Champions League. 6 of them in the UEFA Champions League. There's Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest in the Europa League, and then Crystal Palace in the Conference League. I'm going to ask you, is the EPL really the best and the most unpredictable league in the world?
Yeah, I think so. I think it has been for quite some time. And I think that it is down to that financial gulf that the Premier League sides have, obviously with the TV revenue and how big it is internationally. The Premier League, they just have so much more money and so much more depth in the amount of clubs that are able to compete. And obviously, they've been able to have so many titles in Europe because of, what happened with Spurs in Europa League and Chelsea in the Conference League last year. Obviously, when it comes to top tier of European football, when it comes to Champions League, obviously it was only Arsenal that made it to the latter stages of that competition last year. But yeah, I do think when it comes to depth across the board, the Premier League, it's hard to beat. You look at La Liga, consistently, there's only really three sides that ever really compete at the top of that. And obviously Liga, it's just PSG. The Bundesliga, it's only really Bayern Munich and maybe a little bit of Bayer Leverkusen in the past couple of years. But yeah, I think consistently across the board, the Premier League, and as it has been for quite some time, I think is the most unpredictable league in Europe. And yeah, I'm excited to see how they all get on this year.
All right, let's talk about Arsenal. So for Mikel Arteta, he has said that Arsenal can beat any opponent that comes their way, and this is the time for them to actually take the competition because they will have to look back at the heartbreak from last season losing to Paris Saint-Germain. But with the kind of squad that Arsenal has now, a lot of people have said Arsenal will have to win the EPL and every other cup that is in England easily because there's a squad depth in that in the club. Do you agree? And how far do you think Arsenal can go in the UEFA Champions League?
I think they can go all the way. I think that both domestically and European-wise, I think that, they do now have that depth in the squad, especially in the attacking areas, to really compete with the best sides in Europe. I think that I wouldn't put too much pressure on Mikel Arteta to go out and win both the Champions League and the Premier League. I think that he just once again really needs to be competing. And I think that they need to probably push the Premier League a bit more down to the wire. I think that they do need to maybe in Champions League show a bit more, when it came to that PSG tie last year, it was quite comfortable for PSG to get through. I think that they can't be showing repeats of that, but I think that we've seen in the early stages the signings they've made so far. Obviously, Madueke's really stood out. Gyökeres and Eze, adding to the front line when you've already got players like Saka, Martinelli, etc. in there. I think that especially going forward, they'd have to, and I think they will compete with anyone across Europe and especially in the Premier League as well. I think they definitely can. Whether or not they will, I'm not going to say that they will. I don't think they're favourites for either the Premier League or the Champions League. And just because of that, I think that you do have to take some pressure off Mikel Arteta. You do look at the likes of Liverpool, PSG, arguably Manchester City, Real Madrid. They've also got exceptional quality and exceptional depth. So I think it's going to be close. I think they're going to be up there. I think they have to be up there. I don't think necessarily they have to win any competitions though. But yeah, as I said, they have to be up there.
All right, being up there, Joshua, I'll come to you now. Real Madrid, they did struggle last season, and it was a huge disappointment for Real Madrid in the UEFA Champions League. But now they begin their campaign at home against the French side Olympique Marseille on Tuesday at the Santiago Bernabeu Stadium. Now, Marseille manager Roberto De Zerbi said his team would need to come out courageous against Real Madrid, who are under the management of Xabi Alonso, who was the former manager of Bayer Leverkusen. Now, Real Madrid aim for their 16th European title after a disappointing quarterfinal exit last season. Joshua, the Real Madrid team you've seen this season since the La Liga started, do you think they have that capability to go all the way this time around? Because there are teams like Barcelona, PSG, like Seb rightly mentioned, Barcelona, PSG, Manchester City, Arsenal, Liverpool, all of them big teams. Bayern Munich also, let's not forget Bayern Munich, and Chelsea, who are Club World Cup champions. Can Real Madrid go all the way this time around?
I believe they can. I believe, sure, anything below the quarterfinals, the semifinals for them is a low power performance. Looking at the squad, they are not really suffering from injuries, except for the likes of Endrick, Mendy, Rudiger. I think they are not suffering from squad depth as well. They made very, very important signing, and I believe by soon when they start having their midfielder back, Bellingham in full form, they will be really a team to be scared about. Sincerely speaking, they're a team to be scared about. However, they are one young squad, and I think Xabi is still trying to find the best balance for them. And I think it's really taking in shape gradually. It's taking in shape because they are still unbeaten in their league. So I believe they'll be able to do very well against Marseille, who is also like another high-scoring team, because everyone knows there's especially me. I'm a Serie A top fan, so I really can say that it's going to really do well. I don't see it as an easy win also as well. Though sure the odds and the bookies will actually support Real Madrid. But I believe it will just be a very, very close, narrow one because they have experience also at the Marseille side, and Real Madrid has both the youthfulness and the experience as well.
All right, so having the experience and youthfulness right there. We look forward to seeing what Real Madrid will do in this season's UEFA Champions League. I'll say thank you very much, Joshua, for joining the show. Pleasure having you. And maybe after the show, you would get to give me that feeler that you have on your head, so maybe I can feel at home. Thank you for joining, Joshua.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Right, Seb, I've still got you. And of course, like you said, the Champions League, a huge one this time around because it was a huge summer transfer window that we had. And lots of these players are wanting to impress their managers, impress the fans, most especially the likes of Arsenal, talking about Noni Madueke, who was kind of rejected by the Arsenal fans, but now they are beginning to love Noni Madueke. But looking at the fixtures that we have for today, Athletic Bilbao versus Arsenal, PSG versus Royal Union, there's Tottenham versus Villarreal, Real Madrid versus Marseille, Juve versus Borussia Dortmund, Benfica against Karabakh. Which of these games are you looking forward to this Tuesday fixtures?
I'm particularly excited for Juventus versus Borussia Dortmund. I think that for me, out of the fixtures tonight is probably the most evenly balanced. I think Juventus are coming into this game obviously off the back of a really dramatic 4-3 victory over close rivals Inter. And it's been a difficult few years for Juve, especially since the departure of Cristiano Ronaldo. They haven't quite been able to be the dominant force in Italy as they had been for the past decade or so. But there's some good signs that they're sort of getting back to where they want to be. Obviously, the likes of Kenan Yildiz, who's been in really good form this season, and they've got quite a lot of players such as Dusan Vlahovic, who's been in good form as well. Whereas the likes of Borussia Dortmund, you're looking at them this season, and they seem to have taken a step forward as well. They've endured a difficult couple of years as well, obviously since that getting to the Champions League final a couple of years ago. But they seem to be decent this year. Obviously unbeaten in the league, and Guirassi's been in really good form once again, continuing that from last year. I think it's going to be a really tight game, this one. I'd probably just edge Juventus just because of that home advantage, and they're coming off the back of such an important victory in the league. But I think that's a really good one to watch out for. I do think the Arsenal game's definitely one to watch out as well, just because Athletic Bilbao, obviously at home, they've still got a lot of quality in their side with the Williams brothers. So I think that it'll be a difficult trip for Arsenal, especially as they have got that Manchester City game at the weekend, which they might keep one eye on. So I think that those are two games for me which I think are real standouts.
All right, looking forward to an interesting game between Arsenal and Athletic Bilbao. And then over the weekend, it will be Arsenal versus Manchester City. So I'd love to see how Mikel Arteta will have to arrange his team ahead of these crucial games. Thank you very much, Seb, for joining. Looking forward to an amazing Champions League game, and hopefully we'll get to see you again to give us a preview of how, or rather a review of how the games went Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of exciting football. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for having me on.